So hi and welcome. Today I'm doing a CEO interview. I've got Gracie Lin, who's the CEO of OKX Singapore. Welcome, Gracie.
Thank you, Steve. Very nice to be here.
Very nice to have you. So you're obviously got a very important position. You know, obviously Singapore has become a significant hub when it comes to crypto. OKX is one of the leading crypto platforms globally. What for you? What are you focused on from a strategic perspective?
I always believe when you enter a new market, and I mean, we're kind of a new entrant in this market, even though we've been here for a while now, right? But we got our license last year. So we are still in that process. We've been trying to understand what the market is looking for. And the best way to do that is really listen to our customers. So my strategic priorities are very much in line with what we are hearing from our customers. And there are two things that we hear. One, that they're very focused on security and trust. And a lot of these conversations that we're having with investors, whether they're retail or institutions or wholesale, have been around how safe is this? How do I know my funds are secure? So we invest a lot in not just building the products to give that assurance, but also communicating what we're investing in to give that assurance to our users. So that's priority number one. The second priority is, of course, ease of use. So we were talking on the panel just now about how if something requires too much behavioral change, adoption is going to be affected. So if you want people who are already very well served by the traditional sector in Singapore, if you want them to consider crypto as an asset class to trade and to invest in, we have to make sure that they don't have to change their behavior too much. That the products that we push out for them are easy to use, they're convenient to use, and they understand that. And so that's our second priority. And of course, because we're in Singapore, and as you mentioned, right, Singapore is a crypto hub. And I think we're very fortunate to be here in a hub where there are traditional finance players, there are a lot of established local communities. The other priority is making sure that we have the right collaborations with these local players, these local communities, so we can work with them to really figure out what this market is looking for and deliver that to the market.
Brilliant. Now, obviously, you guys do a lot of work you mentioned on the wholesale side and also on the institutional side. How have you found your conversations with them from an adoption? Like, obviously, I've been in crypto since, we worked with, you probably know, Independent Reserve. We worked with them for their seed round back in sort of 2013. Wow. So that was our first introduction to crypto, right? And that's in Australia.
You're an OG.
Personally, from an investing and getting involved was more sort of 2017, 2018. But, but working with crypto, we've been long. And it's great to see all the products coming out, whether it be ETFs, seeing companies actually adding it to their balance sheet. How do you see that from your perspective on the insto side? Because that's obviously the big opportunity for crypto where value can be created is more we see regulation and institution adoption align. How do you see that from your perspective?
Well, obviously everyone knows that there's been a lot of development in this area over the past year, especially, right? With the ETFs, you mentioned that, the current bull run, some of the regulatory clarity that has come down in a lot of jurisdictions, and even more recently in the US, the political messages that are coming out from the Trump administration about their support for the industry. So all these are really factors that are helping and supporting at least the conversations. Crypto becoming part of the mainstream conversation about what to invest in, what trends people are looking at. That's been actually quite interesting to observe and quite encouraging to see. So what we are seeing is a lot of institutions and wholesale investors that historically may not have been very comfortable looking at this space are now starting to ask questions and interested in having conversations about what they could be doing, what kind of collaborations they could be doing, what kind of investments they could be making in this space. So that's been quite a strong and consistent trend we've seen across markets, and very, very encouraging.
How do you go, you mentioned that sort of first question, you mentioned that you want to build products which are simple for people to sort of adopt and sort of natural for them. One of the hard things I find as a non-technical person is that crypto, the crypto industry can get quite technical, and the products can also get quite technical in sort of, how do you balance that I suppose that combination of, I suppose, facilitating the existing crypto industry where they are sort of technical, they said that they're very innovative in how they approach it, with trying to move into family offices and insto?
You've really hit the nail on the head. So when we speak to different segments of the customer base, not just whether they're retail or insti or family office, but even within the same segment, how long they've been in crypto, whether they're an OG like yourself or they're more curious more recently and they've just started looking at the space, what we've noticed is that people are looking for very different things.
Yeah.
So you've hit the nail on the head, and that's one of our biggest challenges. So the way we've done it is, I mean, we're very lucky. We have a big tech team that's very, very strong.
And a founder that's very passionate about the product side.
Exactly. Star is very passionate about product. He's a builder himself. So
Yes.
the strategy across all our markets has been very, very clear. You need to cater to both people who are coming into this sector and they want to understand it, help them understand it, and they want to be able to. We want to improve access, right? And assess not just for
Yes.
the people that are very familiar with the space, but the ones that want to come into the space but might be a little bit intimidated.
The next wave that are not currently in the 8% adoption.
Yes. Well, we're not looking to go into we're not looking to entice people that are not actually interested in this sector already. But for those who
Good
are
point.
interested and are curious, we want to make it easier for them to assess it and to understand it. So, but we're very fortunate, right? Because we have this very large pool of tech resources. We can build products for both segments.
Yes.
Then the challenge becomes how do you integrate it so that the experience is seamless. And I think we've done that pretty well.
And I suppose my last question for you is, you've got an impressive background yourself, and I'll let you sort of speak to that. What was your sort of crossing over moment where you thought, do you know what, I see this as a future way of finance. I see this got a range of different opportunities. What was your coming from sort of traditional businesses where you've sort of helped build, scale, etc., and been involved? What was your sort of crossing moment?
My aha moment was when I realized that crypto is kind of the next frontier for what I've historically been doing. So I started in the financial sector, 10 years at the MAS. So that was finance, right, clearly. And then I spent the last 6 years in a tech company. And so when I think about what crypto is, it really is a combination of the innovation that's happening in the financial space as well as in the tech space, right? Or rather, the tech is an enabler.
Yes.
It's how we do it. It's how we build the tools that allow people to assess some of this innovation that's happening in crypto, in digital assets. So then, when I realized that, then it just became a very natural next step for me to look into a new, because I've always been interested in new areas of innovation, in how tech can deliver these new areas of innovation to the end consumer. So then crypto became something that was quite interesting for me. And specifically in Singapore, just because you mentioned just now, because we're a crypto hub, I do think that the ingredients are really, really ripe for us to. I mean, the regulatory clarity is one thing, the very, very clear legal framework, regulatory framework, financial infrastructure, pool of talent, all the ingredients are here for us to make it work. So if you combine the fact that I have personal interest in this new area of innovation that I see as an extension of my past experience in the previous industries I was in, plus the fact that Singapore is a great place to do some of this work, and we have a very, very strong team here in Singapore as well. So I just felt like it was a great opportunity for me.
It's interesting looking at OKX, and I made the comment in my sort of presentation when I talk about innovation, the changes. Effectively, first, it matches the incumbent, and then it secondly overtakes it. And you look at the likes of Coinbase, which has actually got a larger market cap than the Nasdaq, which most people wouldn't know. For Australia, our reference is when you look at the market cap of Bitcoin, it's actually 10 times the size of BHP. You look at the trading volume of something like Bitcoin, and I think last time I looked, it was like on par with the trading volume of something like Nvidia. And so you look at that and you think, well, the positioning of OKX, as sort of one of the sort of top exchanges, it's interesting to see that sort of trajectory, given that we're still so early in that adoption cycle. So I imagine that also sits in your mind as far as this is not just it's exciting for this sort of bull run. This is a 5 to 10 plus year play.
Yes, for sure. I mean, we were just talking about that at the panel just now. That crypto is here to stay, and it's a growing sector, and I think that that's true globally, and that's definitely true in Singapore. So the ingredients are there for a long, sustainable development and growth of this sector, and I mean, at least in Singapore, we're not one of the first to get the license. There are actually a lot of other players here already, both global and local, very strong players that we respect as well. So I think they've also paved the way for us, for later exchanges like ourselves. And I think together we can really, really figure out how to grow this sector together and really bring value to our users.
Brilliant. And on last note, just like to say thank you to the OKX team to inviting me to the Grand Prix. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and you absolutely backed the right car and manufacturer in your sponsorship deals.
I'm glad you like that. It's true that they are doing very, very well. Very, very proud of McLaren. And of course we're gonna have you at the Singapore Grand Prix too.
I welcome that totally. Thank you so much, Gracie. I really appreciate it. It's incredible business that your founder and obviously your team have built, and your team is incredible to deal with. So
Thank you so much.
I welcome everyone to introduce themselves to OKX.
That's very kind of you to say. Very nice speaking to you today.
Thank you.